from the top. The question we are dealing with, it says in the Mishnah, when the poor guy gave it to the rich guy's hand, or the rich guy gave it to the poor guy's hand, just receiving it by his hand, it's considered that you transfer it from one reshut to another. In order to be chayav on hotza'ah or achnasa, taking something out of reshut hayachid or bringing into reshut hayachid on Shabbat, you need to have akira and anacha. You got to pick it up, you got to put it down. The Gemara asks, when you put it down by the hand of the guy, it's not considered a 4x4. We have a rule, in order to be chayav on Shabbat, you got to be rest on a place of 4 tfachim by 4 tfachim. The hand of a man, even, איך קוראים לה? קושי, כן, קושי הזה, כן? even הוא, לא היה, זה לא 4x4, אחי. So אם כן, how do you have הנחה or akira to be chayav on Shabbat?
And it's to be 4x4 טפחים or amud?
טפחים. אלא אמר רב זירא, המאני, our משנה שלנו, אחרים, that's according to אחרים, who is אחרים? דתני, בסדר דברייתא, אחרים אומרים, אחרים other said, which is usually רבי מאיר, עמד במקומו וקיבל חייב. עקר במקומו וקיבל פטור. If I throw an object, if Uriel threw an object to me, and I'm standing in רשות הרבים, and I'm receiving the object, if he threw it over to me, and I stand and I receive it, Uriel is chayav, because he threw it from Akira and we have
the hanacha is not
hanacha. We have hanacha, to me.
So why you added that?
אני אציין את המקרה. However, אבל אם עקר ממקומו, if Uriel threw it, and I ran away to receive it, in such a case, אם אני עוקר, it's not the original place where he threw it to. And therefore, it's not considered as an hanacha, and therefore Uriel will be patur. So the Gemara is explained. עמד במקומו וקיבל חייב, if he stood in a place, and you receive it, is chayav. Why? Taba'inan anacha, לגבי מקום 4, ולאתה, we need an anacha to be on top of a place of 4 tfachim by 4 tfachim, and you don't have it. אלא שמע מינה יוסיף from here, that אחרים, רבי מאיר holds, לא באינן מקום 4, I don't need the space of 4, in order to be chayav. Since Uriel can throw it to me, and I can receive it and Uriel is chayav for doing a hanacha, even though I have no 4x4. You see from here that there is no requirement of 4x4 tfachim in order to create a hanacha to put it down. For the Gemara asks, ודילמה הנחה הוא לא בעינן, ההכירה בעינן. How do you know that, okay, you're learning from here that if I received it, there is no need for hanacha from 4x4. So we're learning only for hanacha. But akira, when you uproot the object, maybe you do need 4x4. How can you learn from Achirim to our Mishnah that there is no requirement of 4x4 also for akira? The only thing I can derive, I can learn out from Achirim, it's only for anacha, because you're throwing it to me, it's an anacha. And furthermore, the Gemara says, והנחה נמי. ואני לא יודע על המשנה. No, נכון, but in our Mishnah we have 2 cases, we have Akira and we have Anacha. How do you know also for Akira? The Gemara says, V'Anacha Nami, also the case, well, what was the case that he received it? We said, if the guy is throwing me a ball and I received it as if this is Anacha and I don't need 4x4. The Gemara says, who said there was no 4x4? Dilma de Pashit Kanfe v'Kiblai. Maybe the case was that he opened his shirt, like you see in the picture over here. You see here, he has a big t-shirt, like extra large. So when he catch the ball, he extend his shirt, his t-shirt, and it's 4x4. So how do you know that the case that he catched it was a case of hand? Maybe it was actually 4x4. The Gemara says.
But what did we say about the akira that you need the 4x4?
So question number 1, we have no raya for akira. The only raya here, anacha doesn't need 4x4. Question number 2, even for anacha, maybe it was 4x4. He opened his t-shirt and he made it 4x4.
But that still won't make the akira 4x4. That don't look at the akira.
Akira, it's another problem, exactly.
So
that's
akira,
another problem.
Right now.
No, we didn't answer, we questioned.
No, I'm saying
Yeah. Right. Yes, Josh?
What if you're not wearing a shirt?
So, you know, you're right. So, we need to say that the case of the Mishnah, that he's chayav, that he was wearing a shirt and received it. If he didn't, he wouldn't be chayav.
He stretched his skin.
No, he just his skin, I need to go to the hospital. אומרת הגמרא, אמר רבי אבא, okay, I can understand if you saying that the case when I received the ball from Uriel with my shirt, you can say that was the case in our Mishnah also. how did העני receive the shirt? מתניתין נמי, מתניתין כגון שקיבלה בתרסקל. When the poor guy received the bread from the balabait, he received it on a basket. והניח על גבי תרסקל. And when the rich guy put it down, he put it by תרסקל. דאיקנמי הנחה. So we can say both cases were similar to a shirt. What's your problem? There was no 4x4? No, it was a basket of 4x4. נגמר הסיפור. And it was עקירה אין הנחה into 4x4. לא, זה כזה גודל, אחי. 1, 2, 3, 4. בגודל של הגמרא כזה, you know?
עקירה גם.
בשבת, כאילו, גדולה,
אלה שתיהם, קוראים לזה.
Yeah, both. עקירה אין הנחה was from a place of 4x4. פרדי גמור, עתינך תרסקל ברשות היחיד. סליחה, והידו קטני. מה the Mishnah says? מתוך ידו של העני, from the hand of the עני, how do you tell me תרסקל? כמו says, תני תרסקל שבידו. You should learn the Mishnah that we're talking about, ידו means תרסקל in his hand. The Gemara says, okay, let's assume that this answer of a basket is a good answer. עתינך תרסקל ברשות היחיד. If the תרסקל was ברשות היחיד, it's okay. Because the balabait was holding תרסקל, and the poor guy put it inside, הכל טוב. אלא תרסקל שברשות הרבים, but on the opposite case, that the balabait put it in the hands of the עני in רשות הרבים, so then the עני needs to hold תרסקל, רשות היחיד הוא. If an עני holding תרסקל in רשות הרבים, that becomes the basket becomes רשות היחיד. If you don't say that the basket becomes רשות היחיד, if so, למה דלא כרבי יוסי ברבי יהודה? Then you're going to argue on רבי יוסי ברבי יהודה. מה זה רבי יוסי ברבי יהודה? דתניא, רבי יוסי ברבי יהודה אומר, נעץ קנה ברשות הרבים. Somebody put a stick on the floor of רשות הרבים all the way up, ובראשו תרסקל. Like a basketball hoop, but on the top was a basket. וזרק, if somebody threw an object from רשות, threw a ball, let's assume the hoop was a basket. The hoop is not 4 טפחים, but okay. But if you put רסקל, let's say there was a big ball, you know, and big hoop, and there was a basket on top, and you throw an object on top of the basket, says Rabbi Yosef Rabbi that this basket on top of the hoop, it's considered רשות היחיד. And therefore, if I threw it from רשות הרבים to רשות, to on top of the basket, it's considered transferring an object as הוצאה. So according to Rabbi Yosef Rabbi, when you have a basket,
a basket ברשות הרבים?
Yeah, he said if you put a pole and on top of it a basket, it's considered as
ברשות הרבים.
רשות היחיד, למעלה, the basket becomes רשות היחיד. So if so, what's the case of the poor guy? If the case when the poor guy...
זה חייב להיות מחובר לגובה מעל...
No, the idea is was up, you know, you can put it in the air by itself, so you need a pole. But the חידוש
אם
is...
זה למשל על הרצפה.
על הרצפה, we'll see.
החידוש זה שהבסקט הוא רשות היחיד.
The חידוש is even though it's on a pole, there is no רשות היחיד, but it's a רשות by
לא
itself.
מקום פטור אבל?
If so,
up is not מקום פטור?
לא, on the basket is רשות היחיד.
Therefore it makes sense. למעלה יותר מ10 טפחים.
By itself, air above, but the basket for 4x4, it's not.
So right now with the basket, it makes sense to say if it's ברשות היחיד, because then it's from רשות הרבים to רשות היחיד. But if it's outside, it's still considered רשות היחיד, so there's a problem with the basket.
Exactly,
outside.
and outside on Reshut HaRabim, Reshus
Still
HaRabim,
considered Reshut HaYachid.
it's considered as, if he's holding a basket, the basket is Reshut HaYachid. If you're going to answer that the case of our Mishnah, that he was holding a basket and it's still considered Reshut HaRabim, you must send out like Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda, because according to Rabbi Yehuda, a basket up in outside considers Reshut HaYachid. Again, the Tani Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Na'atz kaneh b'reshut, I'm repeating the last line, Na'atz kaneh b'reshut HaRabim. Somebody put a stick in Reshut HaRabim, ובראשו תרסקל on top of it a basket, זרק if he threw an object, ונח על גביו and it rest on him, חיוב! דאיק רבי יוסי בר רבי יהודה, if you hold it, our Mishnah would be like Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda, you have a problem. When we said, פשט בעל הבית את ידו לחוץ, when we said the בעל הבית put his hand outside, ונתח לתוך ידו של עני, and he put it to the end of the poor guy, and the way we set it up, that he had a basket on his hand, if so, מה חייב? If according to Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, it's מרשות היחיד of the בעל הבית לרשות היחיד of the basket כמפיק. רשות היחיד, it shouldn't be חייב. How come it's חייב over here? Gemara says, לא, אפילו תימי can say even הגמור it's Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda. When Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda said that the basket is considered רשות היחיד, אתם למעלה מעשרה. האחה למטה מעשרה. It all depends where is the location of the basket. If the location of the basket within 10 tfachim from the ground, about 40 inches, then the basket considered, below, under 10 tfachim. No, under 10 tfachim, it's part of the ground, and therefore it will be Reshus Harabim. Above 10 tfachim, it will be Reshus Hayachid. So therefore, when Rabbi Yisrael said that if you have a pole above 10 tfachim, it will be Reshut Hayachid, but if the basket below 10 tfachim, it's Reshut Harabim. So in our case, the poor guy was holding a basket, he was under 10 tfachim, and therefore it became Reshut Hayachid. Therefore, it's part of Reshut Harabim, and it will be Chayav.
לפי השאלה.
The problem here is not the reshut, it's the length.
The height. No, so if the basket was above 10, it's defined as Reshut Hayachid. If it was below 10, it's defined as Reshut Harabim. So for our sake, when the rich guy put it to the rich guy, it probably, we must say it was under 10, and put it on the basket under 10. A basket under 10 will still remain Reshut Harabim, because within 40 inches from the ground, within 10 tfachim, it's Reshut Harabim. כן, אוריאל?
השאלה הזאת לא נשמע כמו שאלה, בגלל שזה לא מעביר משהו מרשות היחיד לרשות היחיד. הוא מעביר את הרשות כאילו, את הרשות בעצמה.
לא, הוא מעביר שם לחם לתוך הבסקט. לא מעביר לו בסקט.
חשבתם מעבירים את הבסקט.
לא, את הבסקט. אומרת הגמרא, okay, so this is our case. So our case is, מה הוא חייב? We're talking about he was holding a basket under 10 tfachim, and therefore it's considered רשות הרבים. If the בעל הבית put it in the basket, חייב. פרידי גמור הקשתי לרבי אבא, רבי אבא had a question, מי קטני טרסקל שבידו, והידו קטני. doesn't say the משנה טרסקל נזן. מה כתוב? פשט אני את ידו. don't say טרסקל שבידו. אלא אמר רבי אבא, הוא בגלל go into different answer. כגון, ששלשל ידו למטה מגימל וקיבלה. He lowered his hand below 3 טפחים from the ground. We have a rule, 3 טפחים from the ground, it's called lavud, it's connected to the ground. Any 3 tfachim is considered as part of it. So talking about it, if this is the ground, you put it within 3 tfachim from the ground. So even though there was no 4x4 in his hand, but within 3 tfachim is the actual ground, as if he put it on the ground. It says, Veha omed ktani. What was the case? Aya ani omed, nachon? And if he put his hand, he cannot stand. The Gemara says, no, זה בסדר, בשוכב. We're talking about he was standing and bending down to the floor.
איך זה עונה את השאלה? איך זה עונה את השאלה?
So he was standing, but lowering his body.
אבל שזה 3 טפחים למטה.
Within 3 tfachim around, it's part of the ground. Considered the ground. So I don't need the basket, I don't need anything. And I don't need 4x4. As if you put it on the ground.
אבל הוא בסדר lower.
אז מה, זה לא מעביר מרשות לרשות?
No, so then when the Balabait gave it to Danny, and to 3 tfachim to the ground, he gave it to Reshut Harabim. Even though he put it in his hand, but that's considered that he put it on 4x4. Because within 3 tfachim, it's considered the same Reshut of the ground. So the case over here, that he put it within lower 3 tfachim, v'shocheh. The Gemara says, Levi say me another answer, beguma. He was standing in a pit, in a pot. הוא בתוך החור פה, and then his hand was within 3 tfachim. This is shochet, by the way. He goes to chiropractor after. אומרת הגמרא, if you want to say, we're talking about benanas.
Midget.
It was a midget, רבעו, you know, it was like, you know, and then he was mamish close to the ground. The Gemara asked a question of Refaim. Omar Rova, ich paltana, the Tana was doubling, you know, going out of his way, להשמעין על כל הלי, to give us all those weird cases, כאילו, talk to me, talk my language, מה ההק? אלא אמר רוב, different answer, ידו של אדם חשובה לו כדלת על דלת. Rather give a different answer to the original kasha. What's a kasha? The hand of a man is considered as ארבע על ארבע. למה? Explain the Rambam. Since with my hand I can hold surfaces which are 4x4,
it becomes 4x4.
That's considered 4x4. לפי זה משמע, שומע ג'ש? If you put it on the back of the hand, it's not 4x4.
Because you can grab anything.
Right, only on the palm of his hand that he can grab stuff, he will make it 4x4. Here, it's not going to be 4x4. וכן תהיה חיית הרבי נאמר רבי יוחנן, also ידו של אדם חשובה לו, כארבע על ארבע ישתבח שמו לעד, and we have no problem. Every hand of a man is 4x4. So when you put it by the poor guy's hands, the hand is 4x4. if somebody telling you, do you have 4x4? I said, I'm 4x4. No, actually, a 4x4. You know, we used to sell cars back then. So the Cuban didn't know how to say 4x4. They used to say 4x4. נכון?
אחלה קובן. אחלה קובן.
כן, כן, כן. Used to say Carfax, you know? Carmax, you know? Okay. So now we answer a Shaila. So the case of a Mishnah is 4x4. Okay. In no case. אמר רבי אבין, אמר רבי אלי. זרק חפץ ונח בתוך ידו של חברו חייב. I skipped the word. אמר רבי אלי, אמר רבי יוחנן. Somebody threw an object, זרק חפץ, ונח בתוך ידו של חברו חייב. So I threw an object, and Chaim Yitzchak was standing over there, and it fell into his hand. In רשות הרבים, you're not allowed to transfer 4 amot in רשות הרבים. We have 2 Isurim on Shabbat. We're not allowed to transfer from one reshut to another. You're not allowed to carry 4 amot on Shabbat. So if I threw an object,
You're not allowed to carry.
4 amot.
How are you gonna carry your hands?
You don't carry, it's part of you. And clothing is part of you, but external object you're not allowed to. So if I threw an object to Chaim Yitzchak, if it rests by Chaim Yitzchak, it's considered, I have a kira and הנחה in his hand.
אתה לא עשית את ההנחה.
מה אתה אומר?
אתה לא עשית את ההנחה.
אבל היה אצלו, אני זורק.
אתה זרקת.
No, when you זורק, you know eventually it's going to
It landed on him. You know, you threw at him, so
it's
it
considered
landed.
that
Whenever you throw, your intention is that eventually it will rest, נכון?
So you're chayav.
Yes.
On everything.
Yeah?
He doesn't do anything.
מה הוא עושה אחי? מה ככה? מה אתה רוצה?
זה רק לפוטבול.
You should remember.
So the Gemara asks, מה משמע לנו?
לא יתפוס.
זה כבר אתמול דיברנו. אמרת הגמרא, מה משמע לנו? What's the חידוש? ידו של אדם חשובה לו כדלת על דלת. What's the חידוש over here? That the hand of a man is like 4x4. ואמר רבי יוחנן, חדזיבנה, we already just said it before, that the hand of a man is 4x4. What's the חידוש of this thing? Gemara says לו, the thing, what you would have thought, הנמי לאיכא דאחשבה הוא לידי. When we said that the hand of a man is 4x4, only when the man himself made the head choshuv. What? Like a poor guy is waiting to receive. So he turned his hand into a container to receive, then it will be considered 4x4. אבל איכא דלא אחשבה הוא לידי, אימה לא. When he didn't make his hand chashuv to be received, for example, Chaim Yitzchak was standing and he just had his hand open and it fell into his hand. He never had the intention to make his hand into a makom, into a place. I would have thought maybe it's not a place. Kamash mala, that no matter what, every hand of a man is considered
No difference.
4x4.
בלי כוונה.
תנודין. כן. ואומר רבי אבין, אמר רבי אלי, אמר רבי יוחנן. עמד במקומו. If somebody was standing in his place, so the case that Uriel threw an object to me and I was standing on my place, וקיבל, and I received the ball, חייב, then Uriel will be חייב. עקר ממקומו וקיבל, but if I ran from my place in order to receive the ball from Uriel, so when Uriel threw the ball, I weren't there. So it was when he did an akira, there was no place to do anacha. The place for do anacha became available only after he did the akira, when I ran away to receive it. On such a case, exactly, it's more football. In such a case, it's not going to be chaya. Okay, דבר תכלס, football.
זה הנחה.
מה אתה אומר?
כי ההנחה הגיעה ממך, משחקים ביום ראשון.
כי ההנחה הגיעה מרחוק. הבן שלי מקפיד מוצא שבת. אמרת הגמרא, תנא נמי אחי, we said the same thing. אחרים אומרים, like we said earlier, עמד במקומו וקיבל חייב. If it stood in a place, the guy threw it to him and he received, would be חייב. עקר ממקומו וקיבל, if uproot from his place and he received it, פטור.
הוא לא יהיה חייב על העקירה? על העקירה הוא לא יהיה חייב?
לא, אי אפשר, צריך 2 להתחייב. עקירה והנחה.
אבל לפוטבול זה יהיה חייב, כי יש לו attention שהוא יקבל איזה שעה.
שאלה טובה, מעניין. לא, אבל הוא לא רוצה... השאלה באיזה טים הוא. אוקיי. ביי רבי יוחנן. זרק חפץ, so the interesting case, a guy threw a object, ונעקר הוא ממקומו, and he uproot from his place, וחזר וקיבלו, and he ran to receive it. Yeah, so he threw it on one side, and he ran away to receive it on the other side. Is that considered, what's the question? One says, Maika מבעלה, what's the קשיא? אמר רבא דברבא, 2 כוחות באדם אחד, כמבא אליהם. This is 2 כוחות, but by 1 man. 2 כוחות באדם אחד, כאדם אחד עמי, with 2 כוחות by 1 man, it's considered as one man and he will be chayav, or Dilma, or maybe כשני בני אדם dami, it's considered like two people and will be patu, because when two people threw it, if somebody threw it and the other one ran away, the dinis will be patu. So what will be the din over here? So if the same man threw it from one place to another, when Uriah threw it to me and I was standing over here, that's kocho. One man koach to me. Me, I'm not another koach. When Uriah stam threw it to me and I'm standing over here, it's not another koach for me. If I ran away, it's a second koach.
If you're just standing.
If I'm standing, it's not another koach. If I ran away into it, it's a second koach. So the shayla of the Gemara now, if Uriah himself ran away to here, is that considered the same koach and therefore will be chayav? Or two kochot and the second koach became available only later and therefore will be patu?
When he threw it up to himself, levad. והוא תפס אותו, בלי לזוז.
לא חייב, אין 400. You gotta throw it for amot in order to be
Threw it
chayav.
and ran to go catch it.
I'm saying, yeah, as kids, we used to kick the ball over the house and run to see if we catch it.
תשבי את הרץ, קושיות ובעיות.
Ay, 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 ay.